No man might draw this sword, else his body wither, and scatter as dust on the wind. You grab the sword from your unconscious knight companion mid-combat, and fight off the lich. Later, around a campfire, you return it to her, and rather than grateful, she seems confused. She woke up in a panic, one hand clutching at her chest, the other searching around for her sword. Her breathing only calmed, her eyes focused, when the leather-wrapped hilt was in her grasp once more. How did we wear is the? I brought her some soup before I answered her questions, made sure she was capable of supporting the bowl while she ate. We got away. I injured it enough to make it retreat, then carried you back up the path to our original campsite. Once she was settled, spooning the broth slowly into her mouth, I sat myself on the other side of the fire with my sketchbook and a bowl of my own. We're safe for a day or so, but we'll need to finish the job soon. We sat in silence for a while. Eating was a drawn-out process with the wound in her shoulder and the bruising across her torso, and required her full concentration. I took the opportunity to capture her likeness in a less guarded moment. I already had so many of her in full regalia, armor shining and one hand resting on the hilt of her sword. This more gentle moment, the soup, the bandages, the blade forgotten at her feet, told a different story altogether. Eventually, she put her bowl aside and spoke. Injured it how? You've never carried a weapon. I gestured to her sword, the green smears on the blade. They hadn't come off despite my scrubbing. A lucky hit. She started forwards but ended up coughing, sinking back against her bundle until the pain passed. It could have killed you. It still might. The curse. I figured it was worth the risk, wasn't much chance for us otherwise, and curses are always so literal. A man didn't technically draw it, and I hoped that would be enough to escape the bane. It was already out in your hand before I even touched it. Still, it was a dreadful risk. Every sinew twisting against itself until the blood is wrung from your corpse is a lot worse than simply being mauled. She picked up her sword in two hands, twisting it back and forth so the firelight danced on the carved runes. Another excellent subject for sketching. We haven't known each other long, but I'd hate to be the source of your death. I'd make the same choice again. How many chroniclers can say they've injured an abomination? And being mauled sounds unpleasant enough. My wrist was cramping, 2 small sketches would have to be enough for the day. I do prefer it overall though when you do the violence. She nodded at me, a small gesture, but one that said everything we needed. Give me a day to rest, and we'll get back to it. It should be easier to track now it's bleeding, and this blade's wounds don't heal easily. Any man who draws it dies, any cut made by it will scar. I can't imagine that our hunt will last much longer. Another silence fell, and the pain in my arm continued to grow.